So the question is, how do you follow a presentation that has affected the audience in such a deep emotional way when the emotional tenor of your presentation is about as far opposite that one as is humanly possible? I don't know, but that's going to be the topic of my next presentation when I figure it out. So, because I want to honor what that was, I think I can try to weave in a little bit of the fact that that was an amazing piece of storytelling. And so was Patrick's. And we have seen 14 amazing presenters today. Can we just celebrate the 14 amazing presenters we've seen today? I love the Ignite format, and you'll notice that I don't have any slides behind me. There is some research that when you have slides, about 80% of the audience's focus goes to the slide and 20% to you, whereas if you have flip charts, 70% goes to the presenter and 30% to the flip chart. It's not always possible, but today I decided to use flip charts. So, I'm going to try the undoing effect of positive emotion, if that's okay with you. I'm going to talk about two aspects of positive presenting. There are so many things we could talk about. One is storytelling and a structure for storytelling, and the other is peak end theory. And as Chris Peterson said, don't be boring. So it won't be boring. Once upon a time, there was a MAPP graduate who was so excited to use all of her capstone learning and all of her research and the workshops she designed as part of her capstone. And so she was really excited to put it out into the world. And every day she would design her PowerPoint slides and her deck and her participant guide with all of the citations and research of the people she'd met and whom she had read. But one day, this Mapster got a job doing a positive communications workshop at a big New York City hedge fund. And she was so excited to put her learning into practice. And because of that, she went into the workshop and she shared all of the data with her participants, who were very analytical. And because of that, her participants looked a little bit overwhelmed. And because of that, she got a tepid response to her workshop. And because of that, she didn't get very good feedback. And because of that, the hedge fund did not hire her back. And because of that, the Mapster was very sad. Until finally, she realized maybe she should incorporate some stories into her workshops, and that would engage her participants. And ever since then, the Mapster has incorporated stories that hit the head and the heart, and she's engaged participants and been able to talk about storytelling, and everyone lived happily ever after. The end. So, there are many ways to tell a story. I want to try to think about how do you do it. This is the Story Spine by Ken Adams, who's an improviser and storyteller. And it's a simple structure that you can apply. The first is once upon a time. This is the introduction to the characters and the platform. You don't have to use the words once upon a time, but that's the gist. Every day, the platform continues, and we learn more about the characters. But one day is the catalyst, the reason why you're telling the story today. Because of that, develops the story, builds the tension, and you can repeat at will, until finally we get to the climax, the moment for which we all wait. And then, and ever since then, is the conclusion or the moral of the story. And our brains really appreciate this kind of structure. Dan Tomasula and James Pawelski just wrote an article on storytelling. There's some researchers out of Spain who have done research on what words hit us physically and emotionally. So they put people in fMRI machines and they had them read the Spanish words for perfume and coffee. And not only did the processing part of their brain light up, but the olfactory cortex lit up as well. So stories hit us on a deep level, as we've all experienced today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take any questions you have, because my theory of peak end is a little different, that you need two peak ends. You need a penultimate peak end before your Q&A, And then you need a button, as we call it in the theater, as Laura knows, your real peak end, so that you control it. Because if, for instance, you had Wayne the Troll in the audience, and he was your last question, then you would be in trouble, and that would be your peak end. So you want to have control over your peak end. So, questions about presenting, storytelling, and the like before we get to our peak end. Elena. Never introduce yourself, start with a story. I do like the starting with a story because it engages people on a level. It becomes too rote, like, my name is Shannon, I live in Washington, D.C., I'm a leadership development consultant. You guys have already checked out, right? So if you start with the story, people go, ooh, this is interesting. And then you tell them afterwards. Yeah. Reb. How do you use techniques and be authentic? Great point. You don't want to use something where you're like, this is my technique, and I've heard it works, because we have this authenticity chip in our brain, as Karen Rivich likes to say, that we know if people are being authentic or not. So you have to use it enough to make it your own and adapt it. So you can adjust this structure a little bit and make people go, ooh, wait, where's he going with that? And know that this is a structure that works. So make it your own. Yeah, good question. Yes, Lisa. How do I use my theater background to keep my presentations poppy? Well, yes, at the CPPA it was a little bit longer talk. And the one thing I will say is that you want to focus on the audience. What do you want to do to them? It often gets rid of the anxiety, because instead of the little brain going, oh my God, they're looking at me, I have all these people staring, what am I wearing, is my hair okay, do I have food in my teeth? You're saying, okay, my objective today is what? It's to inspire you, to entertain, to embrace this room of people that I love. So what's your objective? What's your infinitive verb? That's some of what I talked about. And Louisa Jewell lovingly hosted me on her positive psychology think tank, and there's a recording of it if you're interested. Okay, seeing no more questions, we're going to move on to our peak end. As Chris said, don't be boring, so we're going to take a risk here. And you guys are going to help me with it. We're going to do a MAPP rap to the tune of OPP. For those of you who remember that. So it's a little bit of call and response at the beginning, call and response at the end. And I'm going to say, are you an MAPP? And you're going to say, yeah, you know me. All right, let's practice. You an MAPP? All right, here we go. There'll be 8 of those at the beginning, verse 8 at the end. All right. I need a beatbox, but we'll do it a cappella. Oh, you an MAPP? You an MAPP? Every man and lady? Remember Christopher P. You down with MAPP? Led by James Pawelski? You down with MAPP? This whole party. MAPP, how can I explain it? I'll take it frame by frame it to have y'all jumping, shall we sing in it? M is for master, A is for applied, scratch and temple. The last PP, well, it's pretty simple. It's sort of like another way for basic training. It's a bounce back for your brain in. When you're down or up, you really need it. As a game, and it seems, I gotta start explaining. Bust it. You graduated and you're feeling really low, paying off the loans and it's going really slow. Your business is sucking, that's what you want to know about. Looking at your bank account makes you want to scream and shout. It's not a front, F to the R to the O to the N to the T. It's just your mind is what is making you unhappy. Boy, that's what is scary. It's MAPP, time all the peoples which you get it. There's no room for ruminating, there's just room to hit it. As James and Susie, they know just what I'm getting at. Who thinks it's wrong, Reb and Amy splitting and go hitting that? Well, if you do, that's MAPP and you ain't down with it. But if you are, here's your membership. You and MAPP, rocking with George V, feeling really gritty, thanks to Angela D. One more time, you and MAPP, throw in some CBT. Rocking with ATC. Down with Dr. Marty. Word. Thank you.
Wow! I just gotta say, you guys rock. All of you, thank you.